here. Welcome to the third episode of Intuitive Foreplay. The first episode, I made a list, by the way, of the card decks that we've been using so we don't keep duplicating them, and I'm very proud of myself.
You are impressive.
I
Wow.
am. I'm really impressive. Um, so today we are going to talk about whatever comes up. And what is intuitive foreplay? It's really just an opportunity to prime your intuition and to just like allow whatever is meant to be brought forward to be seen by you and through you and with you to come up in sensation in the body, whether that's emotions or physical sensations or just energy or WTF. So,
Yeah. All of it.
yeah, all of it. Also, guys, spots are filling for our retreat beautifully. So, if you want to jump in, it's in September. You can check out the link in the description. But we are going to be pulling from the Divine Feminine deck today by Meggan Watterson.
Oh man, what a deck.
Yeah, and she also has the another one that I have, the Mary Magdalene deck that I'm also
Oh
obsessed with.
yeah. Yeah.
But we're gonna do Divine Feminine today. And the card that I pulled, usually we start out chatting, but we're gonna start out with the card pull this time. And we're gonna let that guide us because after I read this, I was like, well, of course this is fucking coming up right now. And we'll explain why in a second. Okay.
The energy is already very toasty, so
It's very toasty.
I
It
wasn't
is.
hot before I got on this call with you, so I don't know how to take that.
I really like that I'm making you hot, Katie White.
Me too.
This makes my Sunday. All right. Air out your pits while I share this card. Okay. So we got Pope Joan, people. All right.
Ooh.
Pope Joan, the pontiff of possibilities. The possibilities are limitless because the soul is limitless. All right. So listen to this shit. I'm not reading all the history of who she is, okay? Because we're going to be here forever. We can so easily get caught beneath the glass ceiling of what we think is possible. But the truth is that everything is possible. It's hard for us to imagine just how much the divine wants for our lives, much more than we could ever hope. Pope Joan reminds us that even if we think that what we want isn't possible, it is. Or even better, there's something our soul wants for us that will give us more than what we can think to ask for. Pope Joan is assigned to trust in what you believe about yourself. Trust what's within you. Don't rely on what you see around you. Have faith. Know that the circumstances you are currently in are transformed from within. Begin to believe in a vision for your life. Cultivate the capacity to see it, to really imagine it with all your senses, and you will live into the day when it exists as the reality that now surrounds you. Pope Joan's right hand is held in the papal blessing, a Christian mudra of benediction. The two fingers that point downward represent quite Christ's dual nature as both fully human and fully divine. The human ego is limited and lives beneath a glass ceiling. Joan demonstrates to us that for the soul, the glass ceiling, that doesn't make any sense. Joan demonstrates to us, though, oh, yes, it does, that for the soul, the glass ceiling doesn't even exist. Maybe if I could just read properly. Trust in what the
Yep.
soul knows is possible for you. This is what Joan's wry smile reminds us. What helps you remember that all things are still possible for you? So I love this for two reasons. One is that I've been invited more into deepening self trust this past week in a number of ways. And two, I just did my channeling circle for my membership this morning. And what came through my channeling was this message that all creation is successful.
Mm, I love that.
Because it's like you can look at, you know, how much money you're making. You can look at how many clients you have. You can look at how your health is. You can look at what your relationship is like. You can look at all of these experiences in your life, where you live, da 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 da. And it's just so interesting because all of it is creation, and it's all, if we see it all as steps toward our ultimate creation, then the platter we're going to be served is going to be fucking abundant with a bounty that we couldn't have even imagined, right? And so it can be hard because we latch onto that evidence, but it was about like, all creation is successful. So if you are in the business, not an actual business, but just in your life, of being an open vessel for divine energy to move through you, and you allow yourself to use energy intentionally, it's successful. It's always successful.
Yeah. I don't even know if I have anything to add to that.
Right.
Like,
Oh, and it's also this concept that came forward with this card that reminded me of a card pull from earlier today, too, around Like, despite all the shit storms that might be unfolding in your life or that you might see in front of you, like, keep going,
Yeah.
right? Keep going. Like, it's the biggest wisdom comes from the fiercest embodiments, right? And the fiercest
Mhm.
level of like conviction to whatever it is that you believe is next on your path, or whatever you believe you're being moved, not even toward, but how you're being moved by the divine. Because I don't want to focus on where we're going. Does that make sense?
I was just gonna say that's the only thing that was standing out to me. Like, if we keep feeling like we're chasing after something, we're still not living in the now. We're still not seeing how abundant our life is now. Right. And it's like, to your point of like, you might have a shitstorm coming your way right now, and you might be in the thick of it.
Hmm.
But through that, you can still remain grounded. You still can feel the energy, let the energy move through you. And knowing that as it moves through you, you are always being guided forward into the next best thing, into the next thing that you, as your soul, just needs to experience for your highest and best, right? Like, it's always moving. We're always moving forward and always in the direction that we need to be.
Yeah, it's like the motion is always in motion.
Yeah.
Right? The motion is always in motion. And that's another thing that we were talking about on our channeling circle that somebody brought up, where it's like removing the trying energy. We can even try with the divine. Like, I
Right.
even noticed it in my channeling today. It came through like 3 times in my channeling where I was channeling and then I asked a question and they were like, Laura, this isn't question asking time. Right? Like, this is channeling time. This is when you're receiving and allowing and witnessing the energy. Right?
Mhm.
And then so then I was like, "Oh, okay, so show me how to show me how to deepen self-trust." And they're like, No,
Mhm.
that's still an agenda, right?" Right? So, it's like that we can even try with the divine where we're trying to bring something through. We're trying to understand what the divine is bringing through us rather than just, like you said, letting the energy be, letting it move through you, letting it be present with you in this moment.
Mhm. Yeah, and then letting that be enough and letting that say, "Okay, I might be feeling this," and, like, this morning, I actually asked myself, I was like, "What do I wanna multiply today?" Because I woke up feeling all the feels, my body hurt, and I was like, "Okay, we're processing something," right? Like, and it was like, "But what do I wanna multiply? I don't wanna multiply my pain or my anger, so, like, let's give it the space to do that and move through it," right? And move. Like, I don't know, as long as we just, like, give it the space to move through, it's like we can continue to show up and decide what we wanna do going forward, right? Like, we don't have to stay stuck in it and let it
And
become
that's
our entire being.
and let it become our entire being. Exactly that. And
Yeah.
decide, well, this day is gonna suck. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right. I
Like,
was like, "No, today's
can you
not gonna suck."
acknowledge how you feel right now and hold
Right.
that confidence that energy's like the motion is always in motion. It's gonna move,
Right. Right.
right? And like each moment is a new opportunity. That you don't have to try to access, that you just need to allow to move you. Which is
Yep.
why, like I was even telling people on this call today that like I've noticed particularly, I've just had this awareness over the last week that anytime I feel that kind of density or sensation in the body when I wake up or otherwise, right? It's about like, ooh, there's something waiting to come through me and getting curious, like, what is coming through me? And it doesn't have to be around that emotion. Sometimes it's a being. Sometimes it's just like a diffuse energy of like love or freedom or whatever that's coming through or Reiki that's moving through me, right? But it's just recognizing that when you decide to open to the divine and let energy move through you and let energy move you, then you're gonna get invited, right? And then
Yeah.
the bot because I think sometimes we even say like, okay, well, I just need to be with this. I just need to be with this. But sometimes being with it can coddle it, right? And it doesn't need to because even being with it is like, well, I'm whether I like it or not, I'm bringing my mind into that, right?
Yep.
Whether I like it or not, my mind is going to filter that. And so it's like, how can I just, not how can I, but just open your crown and be like, hey, what's coming through me?
That's exactly what I did this morning. I was like, "Enough is enough." Like, "Nope,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna sit here coddling it. I'm not gonna," right? Because you and I have talked about this so much, right? Like I kind of feel like it's this trap we fall into in the healing world is like coddling our feelings. Well, I need to feel my feelings, so I need to stay here a little bit and I need okay, maybe sometimes. Most of the time not, right? Like we can just
Right.
like you just said, be with the being, right? Like allow
Mm.
that to be enough. Yeah.
I like that. Be with the being. Just be with the being.
Yeah.
Can you tell that it just started to thunder? Look how dark it got.
I know, I think that's like it's thundering here too now. And I'm like, maybe that's why my internet was being flaky. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like moving my head so that I get more light. I'm like, "Oh no, where did my face go?" It started to thunder. Anyway, so yeah, I really like that, and I think that it's a process of owning that we are
Mhm.
divine channels and that we get to just open and let what's meant to come through us come through it because it's not about us. It's about the collective. We're transmuting it
Right.
for us, for the collective transmuting, whatever. You can call it whatever you want. It's just allowing the invitation to be an invitation rather than making it mean anything in human
Yeah.
form. Because even when we sit with emotions, we're then connected to the sensation of what comes after that, which is that relief or that release or whatever it is. And it's just kind of like, well, can I just make this entirely about service and just curiosity around what's knocking at my door right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like that's where we just end up kind of like wallowing, right? And that wall, yeah, I know, right?
Ah.
Uh-huh. I'm like, no, we're not wallowing anymore. No, no, no. We're done. We're done with that.
Yes. And that's where it's like, you get to hold your vision regardless of external evidence. That was one of the things
Yep.
that came through too. It's like, like that external evidence, like all creation is successful, right? Like we don't need to attach to all of this evidence around us. We get to trust that it's moving in the way that it's meant to. And we might not
Mhm.
have a tangible understanding of what that looks like. And that's frustrating as all get out. But what's the ultimate goal, right? The goal for me is to be in a deep space of peace and surrender and alignment and love with the divine because I know everything extends from that space.
Right.
And it doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that I'm doing it so that I get something out of it, right? But I'm doing it because I know, can you still see me?
Yeah.
I'm doing it because I know that my highest my highest and best exists through intimacy with the divine.
Right. And you're always exactly on time. There's no need to force anything, right? Like
Yeah.
that's where that I feel like that deepest surrender and that deep self-trust starts to really come in. Is just like, okay, I don't need to sit here wallowing in this. I can move through it. I can decide what I want to do and see where it takes me and really asking ourselves like what do we want to what like to me today I was like what do I want to do today? How do I want to feel? Right? Like and
Mhm.
and deciding that and coming from a space of more I guess empowerment but also just like within myself I was like no. Like I am a being of light. I'm divinely guided, right? Like all of these things like we get to feel good in that expression, right? Our expression doesn't always have to be these wallowy type feelings.
Yeah, and I like that decision piece because as soon as we decide, the divine then comes in to move us
Right.
in whatever direction. And so it's like you're getting decisive. It doesn't really matter what you're decisive about. And I think that's where people get confused with the law of attraction and stuff. It's like, oh, be really mindful of your thoughts. And it's like, well, I have to sit here and be careful about what's coming up. Is that
No.
really my natural divine raw energy right now? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
for me, it's like, yeah, decide something. I don't fucking care what you decide. I know somebody who decided something the other day and then something else came through that was different because once you get decisive, there's an energy and a vibration around decisiveness that then allows the divine to come in and move,
Yep.
so I think that's really beautiful. And I also think that it's just us being in that conviction, right? That convicted energy.
And I think that convicted energy is where we feel stronger to face whatever storm is in front of us or whatever rainbow is in front of us. Like it just gives us that conviction, gives us that inner something. I don't know. Like,
Vigor, tenacity.
Yeah, right?
Mhm.
That you're like, okay, there might be a huge ass storm sitting right in front of my life right now, but I know that I'm grounded. I know that I'm safe. I know that this is happening for me. And my
Mhm.
life is still abundant despite the darkness that is around me right now.
It's being able to, and this has been coming through a lot lately, hold the deep desire for the vision that is felt from your soul, not the vision that
Mm,
you're creating or attaching to in your head. The vision
yeah.
that is felt in your soul, allowing that to become bigger and bigger and bigger, and remaining present in where you are now.
Yep.
That's the rub, right? And that's the fucking challenge that can feel like it makes you crazy, but that's the growth, right? It's being able to hold that and allow that vision to grow that is soul led at the same time that you remain fully present and deeply in love with where you are in the moment.
And isn't that like the whole human experience of feeling those
Mhm.
dualities of that, right?
Yeah, it's also faith in yourself
Yeah.
and faith in
Yeah.
source that like I can hold this desire.
Yep.
I
I can
have
do
the
it.
capacity. I can hold this.
Yep.
Um and remain present, because if I can't remain present and hold it, then I'm doubting that I can hold it, because of course I'm capable of holding it because I'm source and source is me.
Right.
Mm.
And I feel like when you were reading that card, just the thing about like possibilities, right? Like,
Mm.
I think when we start to doubt, like, what if we started to see our doubts as all of these ways that we could actually make it possible?
Mhm.
Like I've been playing with that a lot. Like, we could sit here doubting this laundry list of things.
Mhm.
But if we decide to see every doubt as a way to lead to possibilities, wouldn't those possible
Mhm.
like isn't that what our soul ultimately is here to explore is all those possibilities and to help
Mhm.
you find the right
Mm.
find the right solution, right? It just
The taste that kind of matches your palate at the time.
at the time, right? And
Mhm.
it's that frequency match. And so it might feel good for a certain amount of time. And then you get to say, well, now all these doubts are starting to come in, all this I don't know, all these disbeliefs are starting to come in.
Mhm.
Well, what other possibilities are out there for me to explore? Like, what else can I
Mm.
play with? What else can I just have fun with and see where it leads me?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think, what did you say at the beginning about creation, right?
All
Every,
creation is successful.
it's successful, right? Like, when
Mhm.
we can tap into that energy, just knowing that it doesn't matter what we create, that it's exactly as it's meant to, that it's successful, that it's leading us, that it's full of love. Like,
Mhm.
why we wouldn't have any doubts.
Because I would tell you right now, if I were making no money in my business is wildly successful.
Right.
Because I have created communities of people that are so fucking beautiful, and
Yep.
I would not have it any other way, right? And so it's like, I mean, we can get into that whole other topic of like defining success for yourself and all that other shit, but it's like, but exactly, it's like there's infinite possibilities, and it's believing that despite the fact that somebody's sobbing in front of you and saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe you said that or you did that or you want to do this and I'm heartbroken," and or things don't go the way that you had planned and da 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 da. It's being able to say, "I see you. Like I
Um,
see you in that, and I know. I deeply know what's possible. And I deeply know what's possible, and at the same time know that there's more that's possible than that."
right.
Right, and so it's like it's holding that anchor for ourselves, for others, for the experiences in our lives, and being able to be like, "Yeah, I see you. I totally see you. My conviction remains."
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where we're being invited today.
Hmm. Yeah. That discernment of no,
Mhm,
I choose whatever, right? And you get to you get to decide that.
mhm. Choosing what? Because really what you're choosing is the desire, the actualization of desire. You're not choosing the actual 3D thing that you think is going to bring you that desire. You're choosing the vibration that comes with just, yeah, I'm choosing to just be convicted to the actualization of desire. which is that's what
Mhm.
the universe is like, "Oh, baby, she's open for business. Let's go."
And isn't that desire, that choosing that desire, isn't that being?
Yeah. See?
Mhm. Yeah.
I like that.
And that desire is creation. That desire, that desire is everything that we've talked about, is the love, is the peace, is the freedom, is the creation,
Mhm.
is the being.
Because it just arises in you. We're not selecting the desire with our minds.
Right. It's
It
felt within the
arises
body.
within you, yes, and then you get convicted from that space.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna read this again. The possibilities are limitless because the soul is limitless.
Mm.
All right, beautiful friend, I feel complete. How about you?
Yeah, that felt good.
Yum. Thanks for joining us, guys. Share what came forward for you in the comments. Check out our retreat in the description. Fill in, friends. It's fill in. And I can't wait. In the mountains. I was on the beach this week and I was like, I love the beach so much. And there's no medicine that's better for me than the mountains. I love it too much.
Same.
Yeah,
I
which
feel
is
the
why I
same.
run all my retreats in the mountains. So check out that link in the description and join us. Have any questions, reach out, and we'll see you soon for our next episode. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you, Laura.
Bye.
Bye.